জানে কি বলে তোমার দামেতে আইনু শরণাগত তুমি দয়াময় পতিত পাবন পতিত তারণে রত বরষায় এই মাত্র না তুমি তো করুণাময় আমার এই মা তব দয়া পাত্র নাই মোর সম অবশ্য গুচাবে তব দয়া আমারে তারিতে কাহার শকতি অবনি ভিতরে নাই আমারে তারিতে কাহার শকতি হর দয়াল ঠাকুর ঘোষণা তোমার অদম পামরে ত্রাহি দয়াল ঠাকুর সকল সকল তোমার সকল আমি মাত্র দাস সকল ছাড়িয়া আসিয়াছি আমি তোমার চরণে নাথ সকল ছাড়িয়া আসিয়াছি আমি আর আমি নিত্য দাস তুমি পালয়িতা তুমি গুপ্তা জগন্নাথ তোমার সকল আমি মাত্র দাস আমার তারিবে তুমি তোমার তোমার করণ করিনু বরণ আমার নাহি তো আমি আনন্দ মালা রাগ ভক্তরা আসবে দিতে আর ভক্তি বিনোদ কান্দিয়া শরণ লইছে তোমার পাই ভক্তি স্বামী অপরাধ নামে রুচি দিয়া পালন কর হে তাই কমি অপ কি জানে কি বলে তোমার দামেতে লইনু শরণাগত কি জানে কি বলে তোমার দামেতে অইনু শরণ তুমি দয়াময় পতিত পাবন পতিত তারণের তো তুমি দয়াময় পতিত পাবন পতিত তারণের তো জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় 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 প্রভুপাদ 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 জয় প্রভু প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण। तो आज हम लोग यहाँ इकट्ठा हुए हैं। आज नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट जयों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतसी श्रीमद् भक्ति चारू स्वामी महाराज के व्यास पूजा महोत्सव है। ऐसे महाराज के आविर्भाव तिथि तो कुछ और है, इस बार आई है नीचे तो इस बार महाराज का आविर्भाव तिथि भी 17 सितंबर को पड़ा है। नहीं तो महाराज अपना आविर्भाव तिथि को प्रभुपाद मेमोरियल डे करके मनाते थे। प्रभुपाद जी ने अमेरिका में पदार्पण 17 सितंबर को किए थे। उसी डेट के अनुसार वो आसपास से महाराज का आविर्भाव था, तो इसलिए उनके आविर्भाव तिथि को उन्होंने उत्सर्ग कर दिए थे। प्रभुपाद मेमोरियल डे करके उसको मनाते थे। और जब भी उनके व्यास पूजा महोत्सव में लोग एकत्रित होते थे, फर्स्ट हाफ तो महाराज प्रभुपाद जी की ग्लोरिफिकेशन करते थे, सेकंड हाफ में कोई उनके बोलते थे, नहीं तो मुख्यतः प्रभुपाद ग्लोरिफिकेशन रखते थे। और सचमुच प्रभुपाद जी के एक ऐसे शिष्य हैं, प्रभुपाद जी के सारे शिष्य तो एक से एक बढ़ कर के हैं, लेकिन उनमें से भक्ति चारू स्वामी के सचमुच प्रभुपाद गत प्राण सबसे बाद में आए, प्रभुपाद से मिले। मेरा ख्याल में 76 लेकिन 75-76 ऐसे कुछ है। 1-2 साल प्रभुपाद जी ने उनको अपने साथ रखे, ट्रांसलेशन करने से शुरू किए, बुक ट्रांसलेशन से, तो उनके पर्सनल कुकिंग, उनके पर्सनल सर्वेंट, तो प्रभुपाद जी के अत्यंत नियर एंड डियर, उनके बहुत निकट का सेवा का प्राप्त किए, क्योंकि एक हाईली एजुकेटेड अरिस्टोक्रेट फैमिली के थे चारू स्वामी महाराज, और बाई बर्थ बंगाली थे। तो इसलिए प्रभुपाद जी ने बहुत प्रसन्न हुए कि एक बंगाली नवयुवक जो विदेश में पढ़े हुए, इतने अच्छे योग्यता प्राप्त है, शिक्षित है, तो प्रभुपाद जी ने बहुत प्रसन्न हुए उनको पा करके। प्रभुपाद जी को कोई अगर इंडियन, क्वालिफाइड इंडियन मिल जाता था तो खुश होता था, और क्वालिफाइड इंडियन हो, फिर बंगाली हो, फिर कल्चर्ड फैमिली के हो, और अरिस्टोक्रेट फैमिली, तो बहुत ही खुश होते थे। तो इसलिए उन्होंने उनको अपने बुक ट्रांसलेशन का दायित्व दिए थे, और ट्रांसलेशन को करेक्शन करने के लिए प्रभुपाद जी के पास जाने का उनको सुयोग मिलता था। तो इसी के चलते प्रभुपाद जी के बहुत नज़दीक हो पाए। और हम देखते हैं महाराज के चरित्र में उनका जो बोली है बहुत मीठा है, जो भी बोलते हैं वो गाली देंगे भी मीठा मीठा लगेगा। हाँ, चाहे अंग्रेजी में बोले, चाहे हिंदी में, हिंदी तो कम बोलते थे, चाहे बंगाली में बोले, वेरी स्वीट। उनका जो भी एक्सप्रेशंस है बड़े बहुत मधुर ढंग से बोलते थे। अपना स्टाइल है बोलने का, हर एक कुछ बड़े ज़्यादा जल्दी नहीं, ज़्यादा फास्ट नहीं, ऐसे करके बोलते थे। तो ये महाराज का एक महान गुण है। प्रचारक का बहुत कुछ निर्भर करता है आपके बोली के ऊपर। तो महाराज का बोली ही इतने मधुर था। और उसके बाद कृष्ण तत्व विज्ञान में, क्योंकि प्रभुपाद जी के लगभग समस्त पुस्तक को उन्होंने वंग भाषा में अनुवाद किए, वो संकल्प लिए थे प्रभुपाद जी के सामने। तो लगभग सारी पुस्तकें जो प्रभुपाद जी ने लिखे थे उसको वंग भाषा में अनुवाद किए, संकल्पबद्ध होकर के रात रात लग कर के उन्होंने किए। तो इसलिए प्रभुपाद जी की शिक्षा का पूरा हृदयंगम किए, उनको अनुभव है। तो एक तो कृष्ण विज्ञान के, कृष्ण तत्व विज्ञान है, और उसके साथ इतने मधुर बोली है। तो इसलिए भक्तचर महाराज सारे जगत में बहुत जल्दी ही प्रसिद्धि हो गया उनका, क्योंकि उनके बोली इतने मीठा है। तो जब भजन गाते थे वो भी बहुत मीठा होता था, मधुर होता था। यद्यपि उन्होंने भजन सिंगिंग बजाना वगैरह, मैं जब था इधर आके सीखे, उन्होंने हारमोनियम और वीणा वगैरह सीखे, लेकिन क्योंकि उनके वाणी इतने मधुर था, तो जो भी बोलते थे, चाहे लेक्चर दे चाहे भजन गाए, वही मधुर होता था, बहुत मधुर होता था। तो इसलिए महाराज के लेक्चर्स और उनके भजन पूरे विश्व में बहुत जल्दी ही प्रसिद्धि प्राप्त किया। केवल उनके बोली, उनका भजन इतना मधुर नहीं, उनके व्यवहार, क्योंकि उन्होंने बहुत एक शिक्षित बंगाली परिवार के थे और प्रभुपाद जी के बहुत नज़दीक रहे, उनके पर्सनल सेवा किए। तो इसलिए वैष्णव सदाचार, वैष्णव व्यवहार में अति निपुण थे। कितने दन्यता भाव से, नम्रता से व्यवहार करेंगे दूसरे भक्तों के साथ, इसमें बहुत निपुण थे। तो ये सब गुण, एक तो प्रभुपाद जी के अति नज़दीक, नियर एंड डियर बोली, भजन और उनके व्यवहार इतने मधुरता था, जिसके कारण बहुत जल्दी ही पूरे विश्व में प्रसिद्धि लाभ किए महाराज। केवल बोली, भजन, व्यवहार और प्रभुपाद जी के सर्विस से बुक ट्रांसलेशन ये नहीं, जब सेंटेनल ईयर आया तो प्रभुपाद जी के प्रति सभी लोग कुछ ना कुछ समर्पण करते थे, कई प्रकार के फेस्टिवल के द्वारा, कोई मंदिर बनाने के द्वारा, नाना प्रकार से। तो श्री श्री भक्ति चारू स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद जी के प्रति एक बहुत बड़े कदम उठाए। अभय चरण सीरियल ये सेंटेनल 1996 में उनको ऑफरिंग करने के लिए बहुत बड़े खर्चीली प्रोजेक्ट, बहुत कुछ एक्सपेंस हुआ, बहुत बड़ी कष्ट उठाना पड़ा। इसी मामले में कई बार उन्होंने वृंदावन आए इस अभयचरण सीरियल के लिए। तो जो भी हो उसको बना करके उन्हें प्रभुपाद जी को समर्पित किए। प्रभुपाद जी के जीवनी के ऊपर आधारित ये सीरियल प्रथम ISKCON के द्वारा ये सीरियल उन्होंने बनाए थे। उसके बाद में बोले कि नहीं, एक मंदिर होना चाहिए। वो मंदिर भी इतने बढ़िया और इतने फास्ट बनाए, मेरा ख्याल में विश्व में रिकॉर्ड है वो। 1 साल से कम, 8 महीना लगभग, 8 महीना में फुल अल्टर, 3 अल्टर, अब तो 4 अल्टर हो गया, अब फुली मार्बल 5 अल्टर हो गया अभी पूरा मार्बल का गेस्ट हाउस, ब्रह्मचारी आश्रम और मंदिर 8 महीने में, 1 साल से कम समय में बना करके दिए। तो महाराज का सेवा के जो उत्साह, जो उद्यम और समर्पण, ये उसका प्रमाण है, इतने फास्ट। तो इसी के चलते महाराज के पूरे देश विदेश में सब जगह में बहुत ही भक्तजन है जो कि महाराज के प्रति पूर्ण समर्पित है। और महाराज के प्रभुपाद जी के प्रति जो समर्पण है उसका तो सभी जानते हैं। सबसे स्पेशल ये है कि उनके जो भी कभी उन्होंने शिष्य ग्रहण करते थे, कि कोई प्रवचन दिया करते थे, कोई उपदेश दिया करते थे, उसमें अवश्य वो ऐड करते थे कि बाकी कुछ हो ना हो, कुछ भी ना हो, तो ISKCON नहीं छोड़ने का। ISKCON प्रभुपाद जी के है, तो हम ISKCON में अगर कंटिन्यू करेंगे निश्चित रूप से हमारा जीवन सफल होगा। तो ये उनके जो भाव है, प्रभुपाद जी के प्रति समर्पण है, उनके ये पहचान है। तो इस प्रकार उन्होंने जितने जल्दी प्रभुपाद जी के नज़दीक हुए, जितने जल्दी पूरा विश्व में भक्त समाज में अति आदरणीय हुए, जितने जल्दी उन्होंने मंदिर निर्माण किए, जितने जल्दी अपने सारे काम को सफल किए, बुक ट्रांसलेशन, मंदिर बनाना, अपने प्रोजेक्ट सीरियल बनाना, एवरीथिंग सो फास्ट, इतने लोगों के भक्तों के इतने आदर हो गए। तो इतने फास्ट भी उन्होंने हमसे अलग होकर के भगवत धाम भी चले गए बहुत जल्दी। कोई एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहा था इस प्रकार के। बिल्कुल, यद्यपि उनके उम्र लगभग 75 हो चुका था, लेकिन कोई भी विश्वास नहीं कर रहा था इतने एज के होंगे। स्ट्रांग, स्टाउट, अपने शरीर बिल्कुल सुस्त थे, सबल थे, चलते थे, बोलते थे बिल्कुल फिटनेस के साथ। और लेकिन बहुत जल्दी ही हम लोग से अलग होकर प्रभुपाद जी के पास चले गए। यद्यपि उनके शिक्षा में, उनके प्रवचन में कई बार उन्होंने यही बात करते थे कि कोई डर नहीं था उनको शरीर छोड़ने के प्रति, मरने के लिए बिल्कुल निर्भय थे, कहीं भी किसी भी समय कैसे भी हो, उन्हें उसके लिए बिल्कुल तैयार रहते थे, हमेशा तैयार रहते थे। वही शास्त्र के सिद्धांत है। प्रभुपाद जी से कहते थे भजन करो, साधन करो, मरते जान ल है। तो उन्हें मरने के लिए हमेशा विवाद बिल्कुल हमेशा प्रस्तुत रहते, रेडी रहते थे। तो जब उन्होंने विदेश जाते थे तभी भी, जाने से पहले भी यही बात कह करके गए कि हम डरते नहीं हैं। और इस प्रकार निर्भीक होकर के, बिल्कुल निर्भय होकर के उन्होंने इस करुणा की चपट में आ गए और विदेश में जा कर के उनके जो प्रतिष्ठित विग्रह श्री मदन मोहन के जो पृष्ठ हैं सनातन गोस्वामी, उनके तिरुभाव तिथि के उन्होंने भी स्वीकार कर लिए। और उसी तिथि में उन्होंने भी राधा मदन मोहन के नित्य लीला में प्रवेश हो गए। प्रभुपाद जी के संग, प्रभुपाद जी वही संबंधादि देव है, तो प्रभुपाद जी की लीला में चले गए। तो ये सब कैसे नाटक के ड्रामेटिकली हो गया पता नहीं चलता, कितने कैसे जब पता चला, सबसे पहले मैं पंचवड़ प्रभु से सुना, पंचवड़ प्रभु बोले भक्तिचार्य महाराज ऑल्सो गट कोविड पॉजिटिव। मैं बोला शक हो गया, ये तो महाराज तो अभी कैसे पॉजिटिव हो गए ना, पॉजिटिव, विश्वास नहीं हो रहा था। बाद में फिर मैंने सुना उनसे बड़े सीनियर डिवोटी से सुना, और तो सुना क्या, तब सुने कि अभी वो हॉस्पिटलाइज्ड हुए, बहुत फास्ट, अब 10 दिन के अंदर ही कीर्तन फिर्तन शुरू हुआ, कितने जल्दी सब कुछ हुआ और चले गए। लेकिन सुदूर अमेरिका में अपने शरीर छोड़ने के बाद भी हम कोई विश्वास नहीं कर रहे थे। कोरोना का तभी पूरा विश्व में इतने प्रभाव था, कोई कोरोना में केस होता था, कोई कोरोना कोविड पॉजिटिव में कोई शरीर छोड़ता था, उसको कोई जाते नहीं थे, छूते नहीं थे उसको। तो पुलिस लोग पूरे अपने किट पहन करके, गवर्नमेंट के डॉक्टर पुलिस उसको ले करके उनको संस्कार करते थे, कोई उनके अपने आदमी कोई जाते नहीं थे, कुछ नहीं करते। तो हम लोग का मन में सबसे बड़ा दुख था, महाराज गए तो गए, विदेश में गए, हम लोग से दूर होके गए, लेकिन उनके जो अंतिम संस्कार ये धाम में होना चाहिए था, भक्त लोगों के साथ होना चाहिए था। ये हम लोग को आश्चर्य करके, अति आश्चर्य है, वो कैसे भी कोरोना कैसे होते हुए, विदेश में होते हुए भी उनके श्री विग्रह को, उनके शरीर को बिल्कुल बाकायदा वहाँ से पूजा किया गया, वहाँ से बड़े सम्मान के साथ विदेश में भी उनके संस्कार करके उनके लास्ट राइट किया गया, और वहाँ से पैक करके बाई प्लेन लाया गया। और भारत में कलकत्ता से भी, जब कल सारंग ठाकुर बता रहे थे कि उनको कलकत्ता में वो जो रिसीव किए जो अथॉरिटी थे एयरपोर्ट में, वो भी इतने अच्छा निकले कि वो जानबूझ कर बोले ठीक है आप लोग जो करो। कई भक्त लोग गए, विमान से जब उतरे तभी उनको पूजा माल्यार्पण आदि किए। विशेष सरकारी तत्वावधान में एम्बुलेंस के साथ श्रीधाम मायापुर गए, और वहाँ पे बड़े भव्य तरीक़ा से अनेक भक्तों के बीच में, बहुत सुंदर सजा सज के बीच में उनके समाधि हुआ। इतना बढ़िया सुंदर अनुष्ठान, जितने अनुष्ठान हुआ है सबसे प्रॉपर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, बहुत ही अच्छे तरीक़ा से इतने ये समाधि उत्सव हुआ। मैंने कुछ बता रहा था, बहुत जल्दी ये समाधि बनने वाला है। महाराज का हर काम फास्ट था, उनका समाधि बड़ा फास्ट बन रहा है, वो जल्दी ही उनका समाधि पूर्ण हो जाएगा। तो इस प्रकार महाराज बड़ी फास्ट ट्रैक में एंट्री किए ISKCON में, बड़े फास्ट ट्रैक में सबके हृदय को जीते, प्रभुपाद जी के नज़दीक हुए, और बहुत जल्दी सारे भक्त समाज में आदृत हुए, और बहुत जल्दी भक्त से छोड़ करके फिर अपने नित्य लीला में चले गए। तो आज उनके आविर्भाव तिथि है, तो कम से कम हम इसी के नाते अपने आप को गर्व महसूस करते हैं, बड़े गौरवान्वित होते हैं कि हम ऐसे एक संस्था में है, जिस संस्था में ऐसे ऐसे महापुरुष, ऐसे ऐसे भगवान के अति और भक्तों की भगवान के अति निज जन आकर के हम लोग को हमारा साथ रहे, हमको शिक्षा आदि दे करके हम लोग को कृतार्थ करके चले गए, मार्गदर्शन दे करके। तो हम लोग उन्हीं के मार्गदर्शन में अगर इस जीवन को चलाएंगे, उनकी कोई शिक्षा को पालन करेंगे, तो हमारे जीवन सफल हो सकता है। अभी बड़े बड़े वरिष्ठ भक्त और भी हैं, और मैं आशा करूंगा कि महाराज के जो भी शिष्यगण वो भी कुछ बोलना चाहिए, समय कमी है। तो मैं इतने कह करके श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिचार्य स्वामी महाराज के श्री चरण में आज के उनके आविर्भाव दिवस के दौरान मेरा श्रद्धांजलि ज्ञापन पूर्ण करता हूँ। श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिचार्य स्वामी महाराज की, समवेत भक्त वृंद की, निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे।
ओम ज्ञान तिमिरंधस्य ज्ञानांजन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री भक्ति चारू महाराज की Hare Krishna. Is this the what year Vyasa Puja? He would be 75. So Vyasa Puja is Lord Krishna. Take it. Lord Krishna comes to give us understanding of the absolute truth, and the whole Guru Parampara system. Even Narada Muni is speaking to Lord Brahma that, oh, there's somebody more supreme than you. Yes, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So Lord Krishna appeared, he spoke to Arjuna. Not so many people understood that Krishna was the Supreme Lord. No, but very quickly, due to the nature of material world, people forgot what is the teaching of the absolute truth. Again, the Bhagavad-Gita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Lord Nityananda, Dvaita Acharya, and so Ramananda Roy, Sanatan, Rupa Goswami, so many associates. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas to give everyone a chance to become humble, offer obeisances to a sannyasi, and then traveling in South India. Lord Chaitanya is preaching from village to village. It's not like he's just walking through the jungle, but he's teaching that remember Krishna, chant Krishna, Jare dako tare kaho Krishna upadesh, Amara gai guru hoy tare desh. So it said that when all the people would see Lord Chaitanya, just by seeing him, they would dance and chant and feel very happy and ecstatic. And Lord Chaitanya in this way empowered all these personalities like gurus, because they went back to their villages and they spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They spread the goal of life. So Lord Chaitanya came to reestablish and revitalize the Sanatan Dharma and also the perfection of life. So in the same way, due to the nature of Kali Yuga, very quickly people get covered over, they lose track. Lord Buddha came and Shankaracharya, different philosophies are available for different people. Everyone in this world has independent, separate desires, and everyone's thinking, money is my guru, or this person's my guru, that person's my guru. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada now again is representing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, establishing what is a guru and how to actually free the conditioned souls, how to give them real understanding. So Srila Prabhupada, of course, people think, oh, it was just by good fortune. It was by good fortune or by luck. But many souls were spontaneously attracted to the philosophy, because most people in this material world, they have ulterior purpose. They have a reason. They want, like Lord Chaitanya says, Nadanang, Najanang, Nasundaring, Kavitang Bhajagadisha. I don't want wealth. I don't want followers. I don't want beautiful women. I don't want anything in this world. I just want Gopi Bharatu Padakamarya Das 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 Anu. I want to serve the servant of your servant and my rightful condition. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his eternal associates. Srila Prabhupada is an eternal associate. We heard the morning classes, beautiful descriptions of how Prabhupada's praying to Krishna, wanting to again be playing in the groves of Vrindavan. Very special personality sent by Krishna. And those who are very fortunate to have a chance, a great opportunity to serve Prabhupada and serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. That's what the Krishna Consciousness, International Society for Krishna Consciousness is. It's fulfilling the mission of Rupa Goswami, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. So spontaneously, Bhakti Charu Maharaj was very much attracted to Srila Prabhupada. Also the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. He loved the music. I remember when I first came in '93, I was taking some music lessons, and Bhakti Charu Maharaj was also taking from the same teacher. And he loved bhajan, kirtan, cooking, and even though he was making this Abhay Charan series, I remember in Govardhan, back in the 90s, we'd go out on our motorcycle to follow the parikramas around, and Maharaj would be there with all the camera crews and busy shooting his film. But he would always take the time to very respectfully and very personally exchange words. It's not like, oh, like, you know, you feel very small compared to a guru sannyasi who's doing wonderful work for Srila Prabhupada, but he never took it in that way. Especially whenever he would be with his godbrothers, he was very loving and very personal. But it's not just when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is the Supreme Lord, he was very loving and very personal with everyone because he's in everyone's heart. He's not discriminating that this is like when he embraced Ramananda Roy, who was a Shudra. But he actually was a great Pandit. He's actually incarnation of Vishaka. So it's not that Lord Chaitanya was thinking that, oh, of course there are rules and regulations are there. We see Srila Prabhupada, he's setting the example by personally always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna, and busy in Krishna's service of preaching. As we heard today, he wanted to see also his followers busy to spread Krishna consciousness and become strong in your own Krishna consciousness. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj would preach in the same way, with the conviction of this Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, following and leading according to Prabhupada's teachings. And Prabhupada would often reveal that I am not writing these books. This is dictated by Krishna. So only Krishna can give the absolute truth. And Krishna speaking through the teaching of Chaitanya Krishna Das through Chaitanya Charitamrita is old and can't see, his body's not working because of old age, but still, he said, a blind man can see the stars in the sky, a lame man can cross mountains, an old man can take a long bike ride, whatever. Many things you can do by the power of Krishna. So Krishna empowered Krishna Das for the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is glorifying the Supreme Lord, showing us how to be a devotee. And Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to elaborate and expand on the bhakti so that we have a deep and philosophical, cultural understanding. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj, if you think of his behavior and see his appearance and demeanor, you appreciate that this is a very first-class Vaishnava. And our business is to take Guru Diksha from a first-class Guru. Not that we're comparing or equating, but we can see by someone's love for his Guru and his enthusiasm to spread Krishna consciousness that this is the person who I want to take guidance from. Because he's repeating the absolute truth as given by Srila Prabhupada, not only speaking it, but living it. So this is important, that we're seeing that devotees who have actually taken Krishna Bhakti, taken the message of Vyasadeva, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Srila Prabhupada, of Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and stay strong in our Krishna consciousness. People ask, oh, how's it going there? I said, well, we had a good program. We had everyone was negative in our tests now. And devotees are hearing and chanting. We're all wearing our masks and trying to avoid this pandemic. But the most important thing is our greed for Krishna, our faith in Prabhupada, our faith that Krishna will protect us under various circumstances. Challenges will always be there. Challenges have been there throughout the history of the Pandavas. Srila Prabhupada's, we heard the journey from India to America and the struggle to establish Krishna consciousness. But with such determination and enthusiasm, Srila Prabhupada somehow, by the mercy of Krishna, persevered, or he established Krishna consciousness. And he wanted, now on all of you, to carry on. He created the GBC so he can do his work. All of you manage. And this is the Shakti of Guru. And the Shakti of Guru is that he inspires me to take up devotional service. He inspires me that I should, whether I have a taste for the name, I should chant the holy name, stay in the association of devotees, and perform something for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Guru. And Krishna is pleased if Guru is pleased. Like that. So it's a very special day. Just by remembering great personalities, we cleanse the heart, we cleanse the mind. Yeah. I was very nervous because the sound system, I couldn't make out what Maharaj was saying because the fans and but I think it's really important to hear. So we have to suffer a little bit if a few fans are turned down. Anyway, we're all missing Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, but he is present in his sound vibration and also in his determination and enthusiasm to serve Srila Prabhupada. So if you're reading, following Srila Prabhupada, and performing your service, enthusiastically, then I'm sure His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj will be pleased. Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki. Hare Krishna.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svavarandhigam Aradhanastranandantai Ridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindhubheva Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So we're all gathered here on this 17th day of September, the actual solar date when Srila Prabhupada arrived in America. It just so happens that it is also the solar date when Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj appeared in this world. It's 74 or 75 years ago. When the announcements this morning it said 74, all right. But she wrote 74. 75 years ago. 75th anniversary of the appearance of Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So, the appearance day of the spiritual master we call Vyasa Puja. Because as Panchagoda Prabhu was explaining that the knowledge comes down through disciplic succession, so ultimately Vyasadeva, he has written down all of the scriptures, so everyone is following Vyasadeva. So therefore, the appearance day of the spiritual master, nobody can be a spiritual master unless he's following the rule of disciplic succession. So his holy appearance day is called Vyasa Puja. So Prabhupada was always dreaming, even before he went to the West. He would approach people to give me your son. I will train him to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. He was always hoping that some Bharati person would take up this mission seriously. Because our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Brahmanda Brahmati Konya Bhag... No, what is that? No, the other one. Bharata Bhumiti Janma Koilas. Yeah, that one. That those who were fortunate enough to take birth in this Bharat, their mission is to parupakar, to benefit the people of the world. Just like Prabhupada, when he went to the West, everybody thought maybe he's going there like everybody else to make money. But Prabhupada said, no, I've come to give you the invaders came and the British came and they looted India in so many ways. But you forgot the main thing. That was this Bhagavad-Gita. This knowledge of the soul and the relation of the soul with God and the knowledge of God. That thing you left behind. But everybody else was going to America just to make money. But Prabhupada came to give something. Although he had hardly anything in his pocket, he had come to give the greatest gift of this Krishna consciousness. And he was always anxious that young Bharati boys would take up this process, because that was Mahaprabhu's desire. So we can imagine Prabhupada's joy in getting such a wonderful disciple as Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Very well educated. He was educated in the West, in Germany. He could have gotten a job and made a lot of money, but he was feeling in his heart that his heart was empty. He began to search, and somehow when he met Prabhupada, he realized, this is a bona fide spiritual master, and I want to surrender to him. So we can imagine the joy of Prabhupada getting such a jewel of a devotee, local. Prabhupada had to go to the West and import all his dancing white elephants. And now he had a local boy, very, very cultured. Bhakti Charu Maharaj is one of the most cultured persons I ever met. So we can imagine the ecstasy of Prabhupada to have such a wonderful disciple, local boy who was Bengali boy, to help preach the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And eventually in, less than 6 months he got everything, first, second, third. And people were saying, how can you give this new man sannyas? They said, you're the new man. Because this is, especially Bengali culture, they all know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very well. So Prabhupada gave him the name Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Charu means charming. And that perfectly describes Bhakti Charu Maharaj. His bhakti was Charu. His personality was Charu. His behavior was Charu. His way of walking was Charu. His way of talking was Charu. His cooking was Charu. His preaching was Charu. Everything about him was charming. That was Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And he was very, very devoted to Srila Prabhupada. Those who have stayed here, I unfortunately wasn't here in those days in Vrindavan when Prabhupada was leaving. But those who have been here, they've told how Bhakti Charu was so devoted to serving Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada always told him, and he's repeating that same message to everyone, don't leave ISKCON, whatever happens. Because in this world, we'll never find perfect situation. This is the hospital, so in the hospital we won't find the healthy people, we'll find the unhealthy people. So all of us bring so many different things with us, so there may be so many problems, but still somehow or other, as long as we try to press on Prabhupada's movement, and try to get people to chant Hare Krishna. Now we have this wonderful opportunity. Tomorrow, the Adhik Purushottam Mas is beginning, and as our Shruti Kirti has been telling us for a few days, we don't even, in old days, in Prabhupada's time, we didn't even know what Purushottam Mas was. So just do what you're doing, continue preaching, you get extra benefit. It's like a sale. They're selling the same thing, but they're putting it on sale. So now whatever you do, you'll get special benefit. So we can all, the best way we can honor Bhakti Charu Maharaj is to somehow or other continue to push on this Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to push on the movement of Srila Prabhupada. And whatever you do, whatever happens, don't leave ISKCON. Keep somehow or other pushing on this movement, and that's the best way. Now Maharaj has left. The best way you can serve him in separation is to somehow or other remain in ISKCON and push on this movement of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namana Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvisesa Sanjavadi Paschadaj Satarni. Hare Krishna. This morning I was, during class, I was remembering some of my god brothers. I'll be eating it if I have it any closer. Prabhupada's personal servants. I was talking about Upendra Prabhu, Sudama Maharaj, and of course we have our Hari Sari Prabhu, Nanda Kumar, Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He was also in that category. I was thinking the other day, a few days ago, Govinda Swami we were speaking on the phone for some time. He was talking about Buddhimanta Prabhu. Many of you wouldn't know Buddhimanta. He was one of the, we would say, Maharatis, big book distributors. Distributed thousands, tens of thousands of books for Srila Prabhupada. One of the very first big book distributors in San Francisco era back in those days. So, of course, he was very fired up, very passionate devotee. Maharaj was telling me he was from Nashville. One of the very few people besides Govinda Swami was from Nashville, Tennessee, in the USA. And after Prabhupada left, pretty much Buddhimanta Prabhu, he left as well. He said, and he was on a mission. He said he wanted to become a big Godasa. He just decided after all those years, now is his time, he was going to do nothing but enjoy. And instead, it came to pass that he had cancer. And instead of being able to enjoy materially as he wanted to so much after all those years of service, he said he wound up here in Vrindavan. He couldn't do anything he wanted to do. Instead, he was forced. He said he was forced by Srila Prabhupada, he was forced by Krishna to actually become Goswami. He was held up in bed as all he could do was listen to Srila Prabhupada lecture, listen to him chanting, and in that way he left. And I was thinking about my other god brothers. By the time Prabhupada left, Upendra Prabhu right away, he disappeared. Sudama Maharaj, he disappeared. They weren't contributing anymore to Prabhupada's society. What did he do? Prabhupada just took them very quickly. He took Buddhimanta. He took Sudama Maharaj. Tamal Krishna Maharaj. These are just my personal thoughts. When I see Bhakti Charu Maharaj leave, someone that was doing so much, I just saw in the last few years, you just saw this coming to a stage of everyone realizing what an amazing devotee he was, what a powerful devotee he was, preacher. So much appreciation was there. But Prabhupada took him because he had more business for him, even than what he was doing here. As much as he was doing here, his leaving, we know, is never an accident for a devotee. Whatever they're doing, it's arranged by Krishna. So I was thinking that about Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, whatever it was, whatever our situation was, here comes Krishna, he takes them. Srila Prabhupada takes them because he has even more service for these particular devotees. In the case with Bhakti Charu Maharaj, we can't imagine what was ahead, what he's doing in the present time. It's more, as much as he was doing. He left you all with so much. And now he's doing more. Of course, he's still with all of us. We know the book he wrote, wonderful. His realizations, wonderful. But somehow or other they're gone. But they're not gone. They're spreading Krishna consciousness with their spiritual master. I read that letter yesterday, Prabhupada's letter about the ISKCON. Prabhupada's disciples, they're all with him eternally. We're with him eternally. So Maharaj is, whatever he's doing, it's even more. From the moment I met him, and it seems like I knew him from the early 70s when I was Prabhupada's servant, but I didn't. I left Prabhupada June 1975. I didn't know Maharaj at that time. I got to know him for just a few short weeks, 1977, when I was here in Vrindavan taking care of Prabhupada. But immediately there was a camaraderie. He was Prabhupada's servant. And he had such respect, grateful to me. He saw me, Prabhupada's servant, taking care of him. When he was doing that, his series about Srila Prabhupada in the 90s, I remember I was in Philadelphia, and by chance we met at the temple. So he was describing different stories that I had told and how he wanted to present those stories in his series. And he was so nice. I thought myself at the time I was living outside. Now, again, I was outside for years and years. But he came and he was just so happy to see me. We sat for hours and just talked about Srila Prabhupada. And then I would see him here and there in travels here in Vrindavan. I told you how the last 2 years I had the very good fortune of seeing him just as he was talking, or my godbrothers were speaking. He had fully blossomed devotee. This is when you can see, people see such a devotee, everyone's falling at their feet. I saw a video of him, one garland after another, after another, after another. And then I saw, just like that, he disappeared. Just to continue his service for no other reason. He wanted to do so much to help Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada just said, okay, I have much more for you to do. Whatever we did, if he saw someone wanted more, he would give you more. Like from the very beginning, right? We were describing, Daiva Shakti was describing, Prabhupada could plop down all of his notes. I have enough editing for you to last you your whole lifetime. When Hayagriva said, is there something I can do? Oh, I have plenty you can do. This was Bhakti Charu Maharaj's spirit. He had so much for him to do. He couldn't do as much as he wanted in this situation. So Prabhupada has given him more. Anyway, this is how I see things. It could be just nonsense, but this is what I see. I hope someday to be able to do more. I said a few years ago, I had a seizure. I was right there at death, but I didn't go. So that's what I see. I have more business here, more training to do here. I wasn't ripe. I wasn't a ripe mango. Maharaj was ripe. He was sweet. Everything about him was sweet. As he was saying, Charu, everything was Charu. Everything was sweetness about him. And he didn't want to just give it to the fallen souls. He wanted to give so much back to his god brothers. Year after year, every time I saw him, he said, I want to bring them, all the ones I haven't seen anymore. He wanted to see that they were taken care of. He had that mood of Srila Prabhupada. Not just that one comes and then you forget about them. I was speaking about that in class this morning. Prabhupada, someone was doing service, he wanted to see that they had everything they needed, that they were comfortable to do their service. When we all came here to Vrindavan for the grand opening, he went out of his way, Prabhupada personally. As I said, no more than this temple did Prabhupada personally want to see whoever came here, they were taken care of very nicely. Nice place to lie down. These were his disciples. He knew they were all doing so much. Nice place to sleep. Super prasadam. This is all Prabhupada could give. Give them something to eat. Give them a nice place to lie down. And then they would do their service. I told you, Bhakti Charu Maharaj last year, he wanted to arrange in the USA a big festival, week-long festival, right in the middle of USA, fly everyone in, all of his god brothers, all of his god sisters, everyone was welcome. He wanted to pay the tab. He said, I'll start it out $100,000. He said, and then we'll see what we can raise. He was prepared to give everything, and he did give everything. So I pray for that day when Prabhupada looks and says, you have so much that you can do. You please come here now. It's our lamentation when such a person goes. I know today is Vyas Puja day, is all I'm talking about is disappearance. But this is also, Prabhupada said, this is where we honor the devotees. On their disappearance, by what they did. And his activities, they're relishable by all of us. Whenever I was with Maharaj, I was very happy to sit beside him. We got that opportunity just months ago in Atlanta, just Janmashtami time. Seems like a few months ago, almost, I guess it was over a year ago now, just over a year ago. So anyway, this is my meditation. This should be what we think. When will that day come? I was talking in class. This is what Prabhupada saw. What are you doing to help spread this movement? And then when it becomes so much so that he sees you've done everything you can here, now I'll take you somewhere else. You could do even more. 10 times more, 100 times more. There's no limit to what we can do. From the moment he came, Prabhupada recognized that soul, what he was going to do. As I said, Prabhupada, when I was with Prabhupada, I saw he knew everything. He knew everything about each and every one of us. And still, with myself, he engaged me in devotional service, knowing this is what I was good for, running back and forth, calling this person. And when you can do more, you can do more. So we wait for that day when we can do so much, it can't even be contained in this body any longer. You need another body, much better body. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, it was some months after he left. I was in Guyana. I didn't even know where Guyana was at the time, but I wound up in South America in this country called Guyana. And it was literally, I woke up to the sound of the conch shell blowing for Mangal Artik, and I had just dreamt, I just saw him face to face, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He gave me a big hug, and he looks beautiful, he was shining, he was effulgent. And I just looked, I said, Maharaj, you're here. He said, yeah, but he said, I had to go. This body had no use anymore. He said, I couldn't do any service in this body anymore. He said, and Krishna took me. It wasn't just a dream, it was a fact. It's what it was. It's what it is. It's our philosophy. We're growing in Krishna consciousness. So all these great souls, they're taken. It's not a bad thing. It's only bad for us because we miss them so much, their association. But for them, it's always glorious. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine. Today the disciples of Bhakti Charu Swami made a very big program in Ujjain, and they invited many speakers from all around the world. It began with Giriraj Swami, and he launched a new book about Bhakti Charu Swami, the offerings and memories of his disciples and other God brothers and God sisters in glorification of him and all the wonderful service that he did. It's called Prabhupada Gata Prana. So he read from that a little bit, and he gave his memories when they were co-GBC in South Africa and Mauritius together. And after him, there were other speakers. There was Gopal Krishna Maharaj, although he could hardly speak because of his COVID. Did you all hear it? Oh, you all heard that. Okay. Did you see the offering that I made? Oh, then. Oh, okay. So they gave me 20 minutes to speak, and I made a presentation. It's about Bhakti Charu Swami's love for Srila Prabhupada and his dedication to Prabhupada, and then our love and our dedication to the service that was handed down from Guru to disciple, and then that Guru's disciples. So Bhakti Charu Swami, he said, "The shelter of his lotus feet has made my life's mission a success," meaning that when he took shelter of Prabhupada, then his life became successful. Before he even met Srila Prabhupada and dedicated himself at Prabhupada's lotus feet, he came to the conclusion after searching, why struggle to achieve something that will be lost at the time of death? Better to strive for something that would lead to liberation and last forever. So he was searching for the eternal supreme service, and then he found Srila Prabhupada through his devotees. After meeting the devotees in Germany, he then came back to India and met the devotees at his home place in Calcutta. And from Calcutta, he was invited to come to Mayapur. In Mayapur at that time, it was 1976, and we only had the small Radha Madhav deities. Very beautiful, very loving deities. And anyone who made any prayers to them definitely had their prayers fulfilled. So he made a prayer to Radha Madhava at that time, and his prayer was, "Please allow me to become your devotee and remain engaged forever in your loving service." So that prayer was immediately fulfilled, because even before he was initiated, he was introduced to Srila Prabhupada and immediately taken into his personal service. And while he was massaging Prabhupada as his person, he became not only a personal servant, he became the secretary. He became the secretary of all the Indian affairs of Prabhupada. He became Prabhupada's cook. He was all around everything for Prabhupada. There was nothing that he couldn't do for Prabhupada. So when he was massaging Prabhupada one day, Prabhupada was convincing him. He told him, "Just offer this life to Krishna and see what happens. Even if nothing happens, what is the loss? After all, it is just one life out of so many." So after hearing this from Prabhupada, then he decided to make his commitment. He said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I'm offering myself to you. I know that if I do that, I will achieve the ultimate perfection of my existence. And then he took Diksha from Prabhupada, and Prabhupada, seeing his qualities, gave him both Dikshas at the same time, first and second. And just 3 months later, Prabhupada decided he was going to give him sannyas initiation, third initiation. And some of the senior godbrothers, they went in a group and objected to Srila Prabhupada about this. That what has he done? He's a brand new devotee, 3 months. You haven't sent him on any preaching projects. Why not wait a little while? But Prabhupada, he insisted, no, I want him to become a sannyasi. So after awarding him sannyas here in Vrindavan, and giving him the name Bhakti Swami, he personally said to Bhakti Swami that now you have become a sannyasi, you are a guru. You can initiate. But as long as the spiritual master is present on the planet, one does not give initiation. That is the formality. So the spiritual master, he sees the quality of each of his devotees. And he saw in Bhakti Swami that immediately, within 3 months, he made him a sannyasi, he made him a guru, and that he could initiate as soon as Srila Prabhupada went on to other service. So Prabhupada, he was speaking, and he said, when a great person speaks about himself, he cannot say very much about his own glory. He feels rather embarrassed for those who love him. But those who love him, when they speak about him, they go all the way to glorify him. So it's days like this. Of course, no one wants to speak about their own glories, about what they did, and then they did this, and then they did that. Nobody wants to speak like that. But those who love him, they want to glorify that person. So we can go on with such a long list of all of the amazing services that Bhakti Charu Swami performed for Srila Prabhupada, not just in India, but all over the world. He wasn't confined to only India. In New Mayapur, in America, in South Africa, everywhere. In England, he had so many powerful disciples who were helping there. So we can go on for many days about all of the services that he performed, just because we have that love and appreciation for him. So in one of Bhakti Charu Swami's Vyasa Puja offerings to Prabhupada, he spoke about one event that he had with Prabhupada. He said, I vividly remember that night in Vrindavan, you were not feeling well. And although it was about 1 a.m., you could not sleep. As I massaged your lotus feet, you began to lament. This is what Prabhupada said. There is so much to do, but I'm so sick and not able to do anything. Then Bhakti Charu Swami told Prabhupada, I tried to console you, saying, Srila Prabhupada, what you have done is beyond anyone's imagination. You should not feel that there is anything left to be done. Now you should just relax. So these are the intimate exchanges between the personal servants and Srila Prabhupada. They had to be the confidant of Srila Prabhupada, how he would reveal his mind to them. And Bhakti Charu was trying to console Prabhupada that you've already done so much. And then Prabhupada replied him, you softly replied, what I have done so far is 50%. The other 50% is to establish Varnashram. Not that everyone will become a devotee. For those who will not become devotees, we need Varnashram. You continued to explain, but at that time I could not quite comprehend the depth of that statement. But after 3 decades means 30 years, Maharaj is writing this offering to Prabhupada, its meaning started to dawn upon me. So during the offerings, Devakinandan, he spoke. And he said, well, he was remembering that one time he said to Maharaj, why are you doing business? You're a sannyasi. Why are you doing these things? Sometimes devotees will say, why is he making movies? He's a sannyasi. But Bhakti Charu Swami, he had this vision from Srila Prabhupada that not everyone can become a devotee, as we dedicated our lives, took initiation, gave up everything. Not everyone is ready for that. And for those people, he was setting up structures by which they could engage in devotional service through the Varnashram system, by business, by arts, by agriculture. And that's why he established the temple, and he was so anxious to make this amazing project in Orlando, Florida. Is Orlando or is it? Yes. Because he had this vision from Prabhupada for those that could not become full-time devotees, that we had the good fortune by our past sukriti, primarily by Prabhupada's and our Guru's mercy. We were able to give up everything and dedicate our lives to preaching Krishna consciousness, but not everyone has that sukriti. So he made processes by which people could gradually become purified through this Varnashram system, because he understood that was the second 50% that Prabhupada felt that he had not yet established. This is Bhakti Charu Swami speaking to Prabhupada in his offering. You came to fulfill Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction that the Krishna consciousness movement would spread all over the world, to every town and village. You stated that you had accomplished 50% of that mission. And from this statement of yours, we can infer two things. First, the Lord Chaitanya's prediction will definitely be fulfilled, 50% having already been fulfilled. And second, that you are the prime personality who will fulfill Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction. So Bhakti Charu Swami is writing this 30 years after Prabhupada disappeared, but he's saying that you are the prime personality. Now how someone who's disappeared 30 years before can be the prime personality to carry out this mission? Through his disciples only. That means it's the legacy of the disciples to carry on the mission of their spiritual master. And all the credit goes to their spiritual master, just as Srila Prabhupada. He never took any credit for what he did. He said, this is all my spiritual master, and he has sent all of you young boys and girls to help me. Therefore, the other 50% literally means the total fulfillment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction, the spreading of the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, in every town and village. And that means the establishment of Varnashram Dharma all over the world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was traveling and preaching, he was alone the whole time for 6 years, although thousands of people were inspired by his chanting, by his darshan, but he never let anyone come with him. He said, stay in your place, just like to Kurma Brahman. Stay in your place. Chant Hare Krishna, and whoever contacts you, they'll also chant Hare Krishna. And whoever contacts them, they'll also chant Hare Krishna. So this was also Lord Chaitanya's mission, that you stay in your place within the Varnashram system. You become a devotee, and then anyone who's in contact with you, they'll also become devotees. And this is the way Lord Chaitanya preached, and this is the way Prabhupada preached. This will naturally take a long time, at least a few generations. So now, you can count, we're into the 4th generation of ISKCON. The disciples being the first, they had children, their children had children, now we're into the 4th, their children are having children. So it's just like Bhakti Charu Swami said, now the 4th generation is going on from Srila Prabhupada. This will naturally take a long time, at least a few generations. Therefore, to continue that mission, you have created the institution of ISKCON, so that in your absence, your loyal followers, generation after generation, will pursue that goal until the entire world becomes Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada was so far thinking. He knew that if this is just a cult, a personality cult, just Prabhupada, only Prabhupada. No, he set up the GBC, and he set up himself as the founder Acharya. So the Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's teachings are our law books. And the GBC members are constantly changing. The original 12 GBC, now there's only one left now, one or two left now. So they're training others and training others. We have GBC College now. And this process the Prabhupada set up because he was following exactly what his spiritual master said to do, to set up this governing board. This is what's working now. So Prabhupada is the founder Acharya, then the GBC that's constantly changing from generation to generation. And that way, for the next 10,000 years, this ISKCON will proliferate. To accomplish this mission, you structured your ISKCON most perfectly, establishing the collective management authority of the GBC, so that the society would exist for a long time. And you established yourself as the permanent head of the institution, its founder Acharya. When you were asked who would become your successor, you replied, "I will not appoint anyone as my successor. I give the legacy to all my followers. Whoever follows sincerely will inherit this legacy." So this is a message not just to someone who was asking that question. It's a message also to the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and the disciples of Prabhupada's disciples. It's not that there's just going to be one successor and all of us become weaklings and this one successor will carry everything on. No, this legacy is for every single disciple to carry on. Just like with the incarnations, there's one original candle, but then as each candle is lit, they become just as powerful. So this is how Prabhupada wanted this ISKCON to continue. It's the legacy of every disciple, every grand disciple, to carry on this mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another interview asked Prabhupada, "From the disciples that you have throughout the world, someone will rise to take your place when you move to another world?" And Prabhupada replied, "Not someone, but so many, because I am teaching all the students to work in future. I may die, but the movement will go on, because all these young boys and girls, they are complete in knowledge of this Krishna consciousness movement, so it cannot be stopped." So it's every single disciple's responsibility to carry on this mission of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Charu Swami, now it is up to us. How seriously are we going to accept the responsibility of fulfilling your glorious mission? I thank you from the depths of my heart for this wonderful gift, this incredible assignment by which we have inherited your legacy. Should I stop now? You want to? Okay. And this is Prabhupada speaking to his disciples. He's speaking about the mistake made by the Gaudiya Math members after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He says, "You all learn from their mistake and don't make the same mistake. Manage the institution collectively through the GBC. Don't try to become a big leader, but function collectively for the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, I have given you all everything. Now you just maintain it." Prabhupada, 108 temples, and he wanted us to do 20 times more than what he did. It's possible if everyone takes that responsibility and preaches. The ultimate secret of success. This is what Prabhupada gave us. The ultimate secret of success. If you remain in the association of devotees, then Maya will not be able to touch you, because Maya is Krishna's external potency, whereas the association of devotees is Krishna's internal potency. Therefore, always remain in the association of devotees and never ever go away from that shelter. One of the last things that Prabhupada told me, Bhakti Charu Swami was there. He said, "You stay in our camp. Do not leave us." This is Prabhupada's concern, that we all stay together. No matter what the problems are, We should all stay together in devotee association. Srila Prabhupada's assurance that although he would someday disappear from our vision, he would always be present with us. For a while, in order to lead us onto the spiritual path, he had become visible to us. And then he had left our sight to motivate us to move forward toward the spiritual world to find him. Sometime in the future, it does not matter when, I will reach my ultimate destination and once again be at the lotus feet of my beloved Srila Prabhupada. So this is the innermost longing and prayer of every disciple, that they can be with Srila Prabhupada again. Where is he? Where has he gone? He'll only reveal that when we give up this miserable body that we're still trying to enjoy with, and takes us with him to his next destination. Then Prahlad Maharaj, he prays the same way. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet? Prahlad Maharaj, he prays, My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. This is a 5-year-old boy speaking. But your servant, Narada Muni, kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? So this is a pure devotee speaking directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsingadev, and putting the service to his spiritual master first. He's not asking, can I serve you? He's saying, how could I ever leave the service of my spiritual master? This is the perfect mentality of the disciple to his guru. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So this is the Paradukkha Dukhi. This is we learn this. It's like when you take the remnants of a sick person and you get that disease. By watching Srila Prabhupada, by watching Lord Chaitanya, by watching Narada Muni, all the members of our sampradaya, this Paradukkha Dukhi, we simply want to help those. Not everyone can become a devotee, but we want to bring them to Krishna consciousness somehow. My dear Lord Nrsingadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with Monavrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter at your lotus feet. So we've been so fortunate, each one of us. Now the lockdown will be over soon, and the hordes of people will be coming back to the temple. But Krishna gave us this wonderful opportunity of intimacy with him in the form of the deities, hearing Srila Prabhupada every day. When has anyone had this opportunity? Because our temple is especially for preaching. We have hundreds of thousands of people coming all the time. And this is what Prabhupada wanted, so that we give up our desire just for personal liberation. And we try to help these people who come to watch the devotees. They become attracted so that they can become devotees like us. So this is Bhakti Charu's mood 100%, just directly in the mood of Srila Prabhupada. When you die, what will happen to the movement? Mukunda asked. Will you have a successor who will continue your work and look after our spiritual education? And Prabhupada was silent, and he said, actually is an insult to the spiritual master to ask this question. I'm sorry, Swami, Mukunda said. A shallow stream of tears appeared below each of his eyes and flowed over his cheeks. He slowly wiped them away. And Prabhupada said to Mukunda, "My spiritual master," and his voice choked, "My spiritual master, he was no ordinary spiritual master." Prabhupada paused and then whispered falteringly, "He saved me." So this is the mood of the disciple. No one can ever replace their own spiritual master, because that spiritual master saved them, lifted them up from the material world. And that spiritual master, he has a legacy, he has a mission. And our only goal in life is to help our spiritual master, be he Srila Prabhupada or Prabhupada's disciples such as Bhakti Charu Swami, to help uplift the people so that they can also come to Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
अज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं जनभूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So it is already time is over. We have to do Puspanjali. So I finish just 1-2 sentence. Okay. So generally, Prabhupada wrote in Chaitanya Charitamrita in conclusion, one can serve his guru by 2 ways, by body and by serving his Bapu and Bani. And we see some disciples like Iswarapuri, he make his life by serving the Bapu, body of his spiritual master in his last days. And Madhavendra Puri becomes so pleased and blessed him. Krishna tumake hau ko prema dhana. You may achieve pure love of Godhead. And we see example of Srila Prabhupada himself. He served his guru, Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur by Bani, by following his words, preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. But we see Bhakti Charu Maharaj is so fortunate soul. He got the opportunity of serving both. He has come in his just few days before Prabhupada left, but few years, 1-2 years before, and he got the opportunity to serve the body, the Bapu Seva of Srila Prabhupada. He did so perfectly and so closely. He associate with Prabhupada. So in this way we see Prabhupada is so merciful to him. And also he served his Bani. He translated his books from English to Bengali. And also he dedicated his life in preaching. And if you see, for a perfect spiritual master, just like Prabhupada, also empowered Bhakti Charu Maharaj. We see all the Guru Ashtaka slokas are applicable to him. He is a perfect Kirtaniya. Sri Vigraha, then he is also worship, deity worship. He is a perfect cook. Bhakti Charu Maharaj also cook. Chaturvidha Sri Bhagavad Prasad. And he established his temple in Ujjain, just like 8 or 10 months he established temple here. And in this way we see all these qualities of his perfect spiritual master with him. So in this way we cannot finish his glories, glorifying a Vaishnava. So today is his 75th appearance day. So we heard, I was from beginning I was hearing so many glorification by different personalities. So it is still not enough. We can go on continuing glorifying him. Last year I was also in Atlanta, Panihati Chudadahi Mahotsav. That time Maharaj was there, and also his sannyasi disciple, first sannyasi disciple, Bhakti Prema Swami was there. So they are inviting to, asking me to come to their project, their Orlando, this project. So anyhow, there is 100-acre land, nice project in USA. So his Bhakti-Charu Maharaj life is Prabhupada Gata Prana. He is completely dedicated his life, his soul only for the service of Prabhupada. Srila Bhakti-Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.